Good evening. First of all, I'd like to call this meeting of the Budget Subcommittee for Scarborough to order. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none. I want to welcome and thank the members of the public coming out this evening to have an opportunity to speak to what is actually a subcommittee of the Budget Committee. We're in the process of reaching out to the different areas of the city, and we've broken the Budget Committee into two committees to hear from the residents in the city. So we are, this part of the Budget Committee, subcommittee is out in Scarborough tonight. I just want to introduce the councillors. You can see by the names is Councillor Michelle Berardinetti of Ward 35 in Scarborough, Councillor Shelley Carroll of Ward 33, and Councillor Mike Layton in Ward 19. And this is, I think Councillor Layton's probably third or fourth time out in Scarborough or many, in the last couple of months, so.
Third or fourth time in this chamber as a sitting member.
There we are, okay. It's always nice when we have our fellow councillors from other parts of the city coming to see how wonderful Scarborough is. So I want to welcome them out to Scarborough. Also, there's Councillor Chin Lee, who's the chair of the Scarborough Community Council. I want to welcome you for coming. And again, welcome. I appreciate taking some time out of your busy days and evenings to come down to speak to us about what your passions, concerns, and requests are about the 2016 budget. We are in the, I guess, the last phase of putting together the 2016 budget. And that phase is really listening to the public on what they feel about the 2016 budget. It's an important aspect of the budget. We will be making decisions this coming Monday. And what you have to say is incredibly important to how we determine what decisions we'll be making. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. We have a list of deputations. Just to give you sort of a brief understanding of what's going to be happening, I'll be inviting the people who have put their names on the list to come down. You'll have 5 minutes to speak to the committee, after which time there could potentially be some questions from any of the committee members or any councillors on your deputation. There are two, if you notice, two time clocks. I will be timing you for the 5 minutes. So in the event that you go up to the 5 minutes, I'll just give you a little indication that you're almost done. And other than that, I wish you well, and I will begin with the first deputant. The first deputant is Sergey Petrov, the Executive Director of Scarborough Arts. Go up to the main podium in the middle. There will be a button you should turn on that'll have a light come on. There we go. Thank you, Sergio.
Yeah. Hi. Hi. Well, thank you very much. I think we're all on the same page in a way, but I've prepared a speech. If you don't mind, I'll read from it. But I think we're kind of on the same field, so I won't talk about fishery in the Lake Ontario, but no. Dear councillors, members of the public, fellow speakers, first of all, thank you for allowing us for such a democratic process to proceed. Every time it amazes me actually how fortunate we are to live in Canada. My name is Sergey Petrov. I'm the Executive Director at Scarborough Arts, and I'm joined here by Tamla Matthews-Morgan, who's our Kids and Youth Education Manager. We're here today for the same reason, I guess, that everyone is here today, to talk about how our city can prosper while enriching the lives of residents, businesses, tourists, and newcomers as well. So I'd like to say a few things about Scarborough Arts, about the budget, and how to move forward. Scarborough Arts was founded 38 years ago by a group of artists to support artists and art-related activities in the town of Scarborough. As the years went by, Scarborough Arts evolved into a year-round operation with public gallery space, art store, elementary school programs, exhibits, free youth programmings, projects for seniors, publications, festival co-presentations with major and minor art institutions and organizations, screenings, talks, classes, parties, a lively membership base, and so much more. One of the mandates of ours is to implement the cultural and arts agenda as laid out by you, the council, and the city hall, and the cultural office as well. Because arts is what we do, and we do it very well, our impact to the community is immense, and we love it. From teaching kids how to drum and dance, to art workshops, engaging seminars, and meaningful conversations, we do it all, and we welcome thousands of people annually, both to our center and going to schools, community centers, libraries, parks, and so on. So for that, I would like to say thank you on behalf of Scarborough Arts, on behalf of other LASOs as well, on behalf of, I think, the residents and the community. To have you on our sides is a big pleasure. As you know, there's a community arts action plan that has been put into motion since 2012, and we hope and really ask that as the council that oversees the budget, continue to support that into the arts programming, and based on that plan, kind of act upon that. And because of all of us are, I think, here again on the same page, on the arts in particular, it seems, I don't have to tell you that city's investment into the cultural and arts sector is quadrupled few times over, as it allows us to go for other funding streams as well, and directly impact residents and directly impact residents and allow for sustainable growth as well, bringing more programming into the neighborhoods across the city. I kind of think that cultural and arts activities, you might agree or not, is the most important pillar in making sure the city is appealing, and maybe other cities as well, is prosperous and safe, appealing for new residents and tourists, businesses as well, and their investment therefore, and into the infrastructure of the city. I can't imagine what Toronto would look like without the arts. The more you support and invest in what we do full-time, year over year, all year round, the greater the economic impact of the city will be. It is a long-term strategy that pays out well into the future. No other investment comes out with such high reward, and most of it is actually a nice, most of it is nice to look at and bring your family out to on the weekends as well. I've personally, and I think Tamala as well, we personally dedicated a lot of professional years into building the arts in the city, donating time, donating personally family investment into building something, projects and events as well. So I would just like to say, Scarborough Arts, I'm obviously advocating for the arts. We're here also a discussion with the city and to talk to you and hear from you, from the City Hall and other groups as well. I know there are other residents. So Scarborough Arts, and I'm sure the other arts organizations are really open to hosting you and having a discussion even from hospitals and police services as well. And of course, residents and artists to build, support, and grow the ideas and passion we have for the city. So thank you again very much. If you have any questions, you can ask right now. But again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sergio. Are there any questions? Nope, you were great. Appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you. And if you don't mind, I'll pass along. We have a package that I'll pass along. You can take a look once I finish.
We'll just give it to clerks and they will distribute it.
Oh, okay. That's great. Thank you so much.
You. Next is Subhan Khan. Welcome, Subhan.
Thank you. Hello, all. Thank you for this opportunity. I make my presentation with all due respect to our service providers. I read that our law enforcement budget allotment can possibly be adjusted to accommodate civilian positions to attend to issues that are not entirely within the law enforcement protocol. I would like to propose that dedicated by law enforcement officers be considered created to attend to matters that do not require a full-fledged law enforcement response, perhaps similar to our parking enforcement officers. In one instance that seemed like a bylaw infraction, topsoil was dumped and trees were planted in the common swell, the gully, thereby blocking the outward flow of rain and melting snow. In another that seemed like vandalism or willful destruction of private property, from across the fence, our clothesline was willfully cut. These are matters that hopefully could be addressed by bylaw enforcement officers. I have a tape that I would like to play. I believe I saw some children here. I don't know if this would be appropriate to play, but it is a recording of the person that has done some of these things.
So excuse me, just let me put, I'm going to just ask you again what
Yes.
that recording was
Yes.
of,
Yes.
what is this recording of?
It is as evidence to show to that what I'm requesting would help that situations like that.
Okay, but again, have you recorded somebody? Is that what?
Yes.
Have you recorded this individual or
Yes.
whatever with their permission?
No, it is. It was this neighbor was speaking to me.
Okay. Unfortunately, sir, I will have to not allow that.
Okay.
Again, that is something that, again, if you haven't recorded somebody with permission, this is probably
Okay.
not the right venue to have that kind of discussion.
Okay.
So I would request that not, we don't mind speaking about the issue, but to have the recording before us is not appropriate right now.
Okay, so that is why I would like to advocate for dedicated bylaw enforcement officers. Thank you. Thank you to our service providers.
Thank you. Are there any, Councillor Carroll, questions?
Yes, I don't know the, the full extent of the dispute you're having, but I want to go back to what you were asking about in terms of the budget is the work that we're doing with the police force right now. I'm not a councillor from Scarborough proper, but just beyond. But Councillor Lee, who's a Scarborough councillor, he and I both sit on the police board. Councillor Lee is the vice chair. So we are looking at this, but I just want you to know, we do actually have bylaw enforcement officers now. We do some of that work on the city side, but if you get into a dispute that's very, very difficult or perhaps even threatening, then the police still do arrive. What is contemplated are things like could civilians be doing things like taking care of chronic parking enforcement in chronic areas? Could we make that a separate contract business of its own? Those sorts of things that would leave police officers more available for if you're in a really difficult dispute. Is that still something you'd like to see us pursue?
Yes, if it would help in this particular I don't know if my situation is isolated, but I'm here to seek solutions. And if that would help, yes.
Yes, it would definitely leave police officers. We're not really talking about we must lay off police officers, but if we look at some of those, can civilians do these jobs if we make them dedicated as bylaw enforcers, then the city can grow, and the same number of officers we have now can help you when you're in a really difficult situation like that. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Berardinetti, did you have a question? Same, okay. Okay. Thank you very much. The next speaker will be Alice King. Welcome, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Hi. Hello, councillors. I'm just here to speak about our nutritious program that I'm running in one of our schools in Ward 35. My name is Alice King, and I'm the nutritious program coordinator at Our Lady of Fatima Catholic School in Ward 35. I became the coordinator this past September and still learning and appreciating every day what this program means to the school. We're in the West Scarborough neighborhood, and our population is close to 750 students. Our program is a morning meal, but we serve it just before first recess. We find that this time works well because even those students arrive a little late are still able to get a healthy start to the day. With so many families hustling and bustling in the morning just to get to the door in time, it can be at this time the most important meal of the day, and is often skipped. We serve recommended portions from 3 food groups. Often when families are struggling to make ends meet and groceries are becoming more and more expensive, it is the produce that is sacrificed for the kids. The healthiest bit can be the most unattainable. Our entire school population is given the meals regardless of their ability to contribute. Every single one of our kids can count on a healthy meal given to them every day. We are so thankful and appreciative for the funding that helps us sustain the program and allows us to afford these foods. It is common knowledge that we as a society do not eat in a healthy way and are not active enough. It takes a lot of people to execute this program every day, giving 3 food groups for 750 kids by 10:15. We really have to hustle, and I appreciate all the support from the volunteers and their commitment to the kids. But we, the parents, are also a part of the school community, and we see the reward firsthand. It's such a great feeling to see a kid in the hallway and have them ask, "What is the snack today?" and then proceed to tell us how much they like this or that. It's a real sense of pride when a teacher pops their head into our room and they explain how the kids have tried the broccoli today and loved it, most of them anyway. Being a volunteer allows me to see this firsthand. Many of our volunteers help us as often as they can, but recruiting and keeping volunteers remains an obstacle. We often got parents in during a transition in their life that allows them to volunteer for a short time. This year we had 2 newcomers to our school, to Canada, and they're just settling in and haven't found work. So some mornings they come in to help us volunteer. This is the biggest challenge and is continual. Thank you very much for allowing me to give a little bit of insight into the nutrition program at our school. I hope you recognize how starting off your day right with a healthy meal can make all the difference. With the funding provided by the city and the province, this program is sustainable. We thank you for all your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Councillor Carroll.
Well, just to let Alice know that we asked a lot of questions in the afternoon because some of your fellow deliverers of the program were here. But I get to speak to Alice because Alice feeds Tyson Darko every morning, who is my grandson.
Oh, yeah?
Thank you for feeding my grandson.
Okay.
We asked a lot of questions. Today, most of the people that are coming are here on behalf of schools that have the program. Okay. You need funding to keep the quality of your food up, but you'd also like to see us address the other schools as well, schools
Yes.
that don't have the program.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah, like it's keeping the program going, like we need the funding or not, we won't be able to do it. Like I do a lot of shopping locally through all the stores rather than buying it through our suppliers because it's very expensive buying to the suppliers. And if I didn't buy it locally from Costco, Dickies No Frills, Metro at the Eglinton Square and Walmart, like in the superstore, and they sometimes give us a few discounts off. So that's how we make it sustainable to last for the 10 months. Like I'm just new now in September, and I have kind of started running one at PBS before, so at another school. So
thank you so much for your work.
okay.
Thank you. Councillor Berardinetti.
Thank you, Mr. Budget Chief. And Alice, thanks so much. I'm the ward councillor
Yes.
and have been into your school several times. How many parents are now actively involved with the breakfast program?
Right now we have between 12 to 15. I have actually, like, since Christmas, like 12 that are coming in continuously every day. Like, between that whole week, I have 12 helping me out, like, in, like, 4. We need 4 to 6 people every day. Like, 5 really helps really well. Some days we only have 3. It's very hard, especially doing the 750 kids. It's, like, very hard. But we do it. We get it done, and they get their snack and everything, their morning meal by 10:15. They get 3 snacks from 3 different food groups. One is a dairy, one is a grain, and the other one is a fruit or veggie. So some days, because when you have like less volunteers, and you don't have as you got to try to do the best you can and get all of it done at once.
Yeah, so you really rely on the...
Yeah, the volunteers we really rely on. But like I said, from what I heard from the navigators, nutrition navigators, that we're so lucky because no school ever has 12 people, like
Yeah.
12 to 15 people volunteering, like to help us out within the week.
Yeah, Our Lady of Fatima is great. Excellent school, and thank you so much for helping and volunteering.
And the kids really enjoy it. Like yesterday, I got a hug from a little girl that I don't even know at that school because my other daughter just started at that school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, wait. I want to welcome Councillor de Beermaker, and Councillor de Beermaker would like to ask you a question. Deputy Mayor de Beermaker, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you, thank you for coming. Councillor Carroll asked a very good question, and I want to see if I could get a bit more of a response from you. We don't have enough money to do everything we want.
Yeah.
And as a lover of broccoli, I'd like to give it to every kid that I can because it's good for them. So my question to you is, what would your advice to us be if we don't have enough money and we have a choice between either expanding, giving some money to new schools so their kids get something, or topping up the existing schools to keep up with the rate of inflation or help them more? With that tough decision, what do you think is more important, to strengthen the programs we have today or to give some money to more schools so they have something?
Well, actually, I think both would be good.
Both are good,
Like
but if
doing
we-
both
if-
ways, like helping the new schools get started, because, like I
Sorry, say
said,
that
I just
again?
started doing this program in September, so I know how important the meals are, them kids getting the snack that day, like for the day, is, you know, how important that is. So, like, giving us what you can afford to give us would be greatly appreciated, but helping out the other schools too and getting them started, I'm sure will be.
Okay, great. And I missed, sorry, what school are you at?
I'm at Our Lady of Fatima Catholic School.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, see, I have two kids in two different wards, so I have one at Ward 35. She just moved to Fatima to start to extend the French program, and then I have another daughter at Precious Blood School, which is Scarborough,
Yep.
which is Michael Thompson, so.
Okay, great.
So
Thank you
I'm
very
in
much
two
for
different
coming
areas.
in.
We actually have one more question from
Okay.
Councillor Layton.
Yes, thank you very much. Food must be a huge part of your budget. Do you have any
Yeah, it
idea
is.
about how much of the food program's budget is food compared to any other cost?
The food is like the most costly thing, because like I said, it costs us about 3,000 or more a week to feed the 750 kids.
And what do you spend on everything else put together that's not food, energy?
And then we buy like supplies for our schools. They're in December to start, in September to start out and like get new containers and.
Sure.
Because we started doing a family style, we rolled out, before we were prepackaging everything. So now we're doing it family style in order to make it more sustainable.
Right.
So we had to buy some new containers and all that. So we spent like about $1,000 extra on our containers and bags and stuff like that to get started.
That'll last a couple of years,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah.
So what
No.
would you what would you estimate? Like 90% of your budget is food and 10% other things, 99% is
Yeah,
food.
well, I would say about 90%, 95% is food, and then the other 5 are, between 5 and 10%. Then we try to, on our new, buying new stuff to make the program run easier during the year.
Sure. So one of the important things that we're debating right now is a inflationary increase that we would give to help you purchase food.
Yeah.
The problem here is the measure that we're using to increase taxes is an inflation rate of 1.3%. So the cost of overall of everything that's measured by the great inflationary god of Canada determines that, or some government body, I have no idea who determines this, has determined that 1.3% is the cost of inflation. But as we all know, when going out and buying food for our own homes, food is so much higher.
Yeah, it is
the cost
very
of increase.
expensive.
And it's going up at an astronomical rate. Would it surprise you if I was to say that the cost of food is going up at a rate closer to 4%? So if 90% of your budget, 95% of your budget is food,
Yeah.
but we're only giving, because we've determined the measure of inflation is 1.4%, that's what we're going to give you. Do you think that the difference between that 1.4% increase and that 4% increase is going to impact the delivery of your program?
I'm not really sure, because like I said, I just started this program in September. This is the first program I ever ran. So I've only volunteered before at the other school. So until I get into it like a full year, Like, I will not know that.
So last year, the inflationary price of food, and I have the benefit of looking at it right here, was closer to 1%. In 2015, it's closer to 5%. So I can imagine that last year maybe they had it a little bit easier and they were able to meet that burden. But I think that as we go into next year, you're going to have a much tougher time delivering the same level of service, and all the power to you. And we're going to try to fight to make sure that you get what you need to continue on the service that you're delivering.
Like I said, if I didn't shop locally, we wouldn't be able to keep the program running for 10 months. We might get 7 months out of it. So, again, unless I shop locally, and I do a lot. I spend more than what other people have spent on the running the program. I'm spending 8 hours a day there, basically 4 days a week.
Thank you, Alice, for all
Okay.
the work that you do.
Okay, thank you.
The next speaker is John Stapleton.
It's crazy.
Welcome, John. You'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, councillors, fellow deputants, I'm a newly minted senior citizen in Toronto. I lived in Scarborough for the last 37 years, and I'm a proud resident of Scarborough, but I see a problem, and that's the problem of poverty in Toronto. I think we can and should do more to eradicate poverty in our city. We're our largest and richest city in Canada with 11% of GDP, the world's most tax competitive city, 2014 Intelligent Community of the Year, 4th on PricewaterhouseCoopers Cities of Opportunity, and the world's most resilient city. But there's another side of Toronto. Toronto houses Canada's highest concentration of working poverty. I've written 2 reports on that, which I can leave with you last year and in 2011. We're also the child poverty capital of Canada, with 28.6% of children living in low-income households, and our child poverty rate remains virtually unchanged, with one in 4, 144,000 children living in households with income below Stats Canada's after-tax low-income measure. I think informed taxpayers demand that money spent by government should go to effective use and achieve clear results, but there are real benefits to alleviating poverty. The problem is that these methodologies tend not to be used in traditional budgeting. We tend not to look at direct and indirect savings, and government balance sheets typically do not explicitly highlight the basic offsets that will result from poverty reduction initiatives. These offsets can be direct, where an initiative eliminates another public expense, or indirect, where an initiative creates the conditions where other public expense is lessened. TTC tickets for under 12s are a good example of a direct savings to other programs, while social procurement can succeed in getting people off public assistance, off our OW and possibly our ODSP program, and it also produces savings. Secondly, we seldom count the cost of inaction, which we sometimes call the cost of poverty. There have been a number of recent analyses that have estimated the cost of poverty as the economic cost of inaction in the fight against poverty. These analyses, one of which was completed by the Ontario Association of Food Banks in 2008, as part of the advisory on that, quantify the consumption of public services by different income quintile groups in order to nationally estimate and provincially estimate how costs would be reduced if individuals moved up from the 5th quintile to the 4th quintile, basically coming out of income poverty. And a group of us will soon report on the cost of poverty in Toronto, and I can tell you that it's in the billions of dollars. We almost never do cost-benefit analysis. We're not going to be able to do one for this particular budget. They take a long time to do, but they're used by some to realistically estimate the economic long-term benefits of social interventions. Using cost-benefit analysis, approach to poverty reduction could apply to the following poverty reduction initiatives: increasing minimum wages, creation of a living wage in Toronto, community benefit agreements, and social procurements. Each of these different types of analyses offers different ways of looking at poverty reduction. By ignoring the offsets, and I think we often do ignore the offsets, savings and benefits that could be estimated using these methods, decision makers otherwise miss out on the chance to understand the economic returns related to investment in poverty reduction efforts. It's not just social returns. The creation of a broader balance sheet can refute the incorrect conclusion that poverty reduction only relates to those low-income residents who are directly impacted. Reducing poverty has positive impact for all Torontonians. You know, in closing, when my wife and I moved to Scarborough in 1978, our property taxes were about $100 a month or $1,200 a year. I still remember that on the mortgage payment thing. With inflation of 235% since 1978, those taxes would now be about $4,000 a year. But here we are in 2016, and they're still about $2,900 a year. In fact, I got my tax bill today, $2,900 for the year. And yet, with inflation, it would have been $4,000 since '78. I estimate that my wife and I have paid $15,000 less than what we should have paid since the turn of the millennium. Our property taxes are now about 28% below where they should have been, but we just can't seem to get the message out that things are not free. We have to pay for them, and it's a good thing to pay for them. We continue to choke ourselves while saying it's impossible to pay for things, and poverty reduction is one of those good things that we should pay for, and it pays dividends. I can and expect my property taxes to go up with inflation, and I believe that we should get more, and it makes sense that we pay for it. Let's just stop being delusional. Let's pay for stuff, and let's eradicate poverty. Thanks.
Thank you. Questions?
I'm wondering if we have your deputation in printing, because those are very compelling numbers.
Sure. Yeah.
About truly inflation. We with all those 0 years in there, we're actually well behind, and that's how we've got to be paying $1,000 less than other jurisdictions. Yeah. Thank you. That's a courageous thing to say in Toronto's political community. Thank you for those numbers.
I'm ready for the commentariat.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate. Any other questions? No, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Paul Beattie.
Good evening, councillors. I'm afraid I don't have any paperwork or movies or anything like that to present, but the other day I received my my garbage and my water bill, and I looked at it, and it was like $100. And I'm going, before amalgamation, I paid $76 for my hydro and my water. And I'm going, there's something wrong here. Why is this so expensive now? But all I hear is, oh, water only went up 8%. My garbage only went up 3%. But everybody's saying it's only 2%, it's only 1%. But my employer is not giving me a 3% raise, an 8% raise, a 4% raise. He's not giving me any of those things. So I'm wondering, how do I continue paying for just this and just that? And I'm wondering, why is it going up so much? That doesn't even include my hydro. So if you balance out what I'm paying for hydro and water and garbage now, it's probably gone up like 600% since amalgamation. And amalgamation was supposed to benefit us. Well, I don't understand that. And as far as this lady was speaking about the breakfast clubs, I was here for one budget before asking about it because some poor child went hungry. I don't know how much their budget is, but if we took, say, $100,000 off the police budget, which is really nothing to them, and took 4% of that, then we could give these people the increase of 4%. Even $200,000 is only $8,000 out of the police budget, which was close to $1 billion, and we cannot give these people a few more $1,000? It seems kind of ridiculous. But that's about all I have to say for this. Any questions?
Any questions?
Pretty straightforward to me.
Councillor Carroll has a question.
Yes.
I do have a question. If you're gonna lay down the gauntlet like that, so you have a concern about the various different charges.
Yes.
And part of the reason you pay them differently, we charge you for garbage separately as a utility. I think this is an important point you're making because there's a slide in the budget presentation. There's much talk about the fact that our property tax is now $1,000 less per year per household. than what you would pay for the same house in any GTA municipalities. Some are quite a bit higher than us, more than 1,000.
Oh, yeah, I know 70,000 in Rosedale, so.
Yeah, but well, no, I'm talking about beyond Toronto.
Okay, right.
In Oshawa, a house for which you would pay $2,900 in taxes in where I live in Don Mills is $6,000 a year.
But they have to pay for all the new infrastructure, too.
Right, as do we. But I think it's an important point you're raising, because part of the reason that our property tax are still low is we embarked upon a formula of taxing various groups in other ways, separating garbage out so that you could see the cost of garbage. So you pay for your garbage separately. So really, if you think about it, that's one of the reasons theirs is higher. We charge a land transfer tax so that those who have a significant capital gain from their last house are making an upfront one-year investment of taxes, and so that keeps your property tax lower. But it does create a lot of different charges. So going forward, there are a lot of needs in the city, a lot of transit to build, a lot of roads to repair, a lot of rising costs for us. Would you like to see us keep property tax the way it is and build on the model in other ways, or would you like to see all those different charges go away and we just put it all on the property tax bill like Oshawa?
Well, what I don't understand is I can have a man come up 6 days, any day, 6 days a week, anytime I want, and he can pick up a bag of garbage for me for $3. That's all I put out. Just a small bag. And he can come at 6 days a week anytime I ask and pick up my garbage for $3. If I have a very big, heavy industrial bag, it's $5. So I don't understand why I should be paying, really for garbage that much, when I can have a guy come on and pick it up whenever I want for $3.
We'd like to know who this person is, because if he's willing to do that,
and then the other thing.
We have 1,005,000 households that need someone to pick up their garbage for $3
I'll tell
a
him
week,
to come
any
and see
day
you.
of the week, 6 days a week. So we'd really love to talk to him.
The other thing is there was a saving by contracting out, right? I think at the time the saving was $800,000 by contracting out. So now that saving has obviously disappeared. So we haven't really gained anything, and we could have kept the city people working instead of contracting out, from what I can see.
That's a very good point. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other
Okay,
questions?
thank you. Oh, sorry, any more questions?
What? No, I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Next is Donna LaRush.
Hello. I want
Thank you,
to
Donna.
thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today about a budgeting concern of mine. I'm just a resident. I'm not speaking on behalf of any group, but I feel that there's a need for dog parks in our city. I'm in Ward 41, and the residents we're getting more and more people, more and more families, and I would like to see a dog park. We have 5 different parks in our area, and I would think that it would be a small consideration to put in a fenced-in, secured area for a number of people in the area. So I'd like to ask you to consider budgeting for that.
You're not asking permission.
Councillor de Beermaker.
Through you, Mr. Chair, thank you very much for coming, and as a fellow dog lover, I just wanted to know if you're aware that the largest dog park in the city of Toronto is located just south of you in my ward by Thompson Park. I don't know if you go down and use it.
I do use it, and I have to put my dog in a car, and I have to drive them there, right? And there's so many places really close to us.
And how do you like that magnificent dog park?
Oh, it's great. It's great. I love Sunnybrook Dog Park, too. It's great. There's a lot of really nice dog parks. There just isn't one in our area.
Okay, great. And I'll ask the councillor from
The
Ward
other
41.
one is on McNichol. The other one is on McNichol, too. And
Yes. Up at Lamoureux, I think.
I don't know about
So, but I'll let the councillor from Ward 41 ask any questions if he wishes. But thank you very much for coming today. And we are in Scarborough trying to get a lot more.
Any other, Councillor Lee?
Okay, it's on. Are you aware of the process of applying for a dog park?
No,
Let me see me out first then.
I'd love to. Okay, and I just want to raise another concern that it's my
There is a process that you have to, and there has to be a group of citizens in the area that are willing to work with it.
Okay, well, I'd love to talk
Thank
to
you.
you. Just one other point that I'd like to raise is that the city's planning on increasing fees for fining people for dogs off leash, and I think that an alternative to increasing the fines would be to provide some alternative, you know, a win-win situation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Miroslav Glavich. Miroslav, come on up. That was Donna. What? Donna just spoke. Welcome, Miroslav.
5 minutes, same thing?
5 minutes. You know the drill.
Yes, first time. The dog park is in Kenny and McNichols southwest corner across the street from Mary Ward Catholic Secondary School. That was my high school, and I grew up in the area. One thing that doesn't get mentioned, most of you, when you all hold your budget consultations, no more than 30 people come. You know the digital aspect of City Hall, when you click on the monitor, there should be Skype deputations. On that sense, not everybody can come here. I spent the past 5 years at Government Management Committee annoying the heck out of Paul Ainsley to bring social media. 5 years ago, the City of Toronto had 5, 6, 7 years ago had 0. Now it has a whole entire thing. Councillor Carroll tweets, you're the queen of Twitter. You know, not everybody can make it here. Seniors, people with any physical disabilities that have an issue walking. Look at this, going down the stairs, that's difficult. All those groups that I said are always at the bottom of the scale. You know, it would be great to get involved, and some of the excuses I have heard from members of council, city staff, that you don't have the equipment. That's no excuse. You know, it could be a violation of the AOTA, Disability Act of Ontario, something like that. Not everybody's going to come here, you know, and also there's the language barrier. 99% of things on all your websites are in English. When Councillor Kerry Janis was the member of Parliament, when he sent out his newsletters, it was in English and Chinese, because in north part of Scarborough, that's the biggest language. Councillor Carroll, around the Peanut, I think that's called, around Fairview Mall, where I grew up, there's a big, I think it's Farsi, Persian, whatever the terms. You could have that translated. Not everybody speaks English. A lot of seniors don't speak English, especially new immigrants. A lot of the Syrian immigrants that come have a language barrier when they want to put their kids into swimming lessons, badminton, or any other service in our communities, if they don't understand the language, you know? All those digital services that could be improved, it could bring the city into 2015, you know? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Miroslav. Questions? Councillor Layton?
So I had recently had a conversation with our city staff about this, because I wanted I've got the graphic here too. It's a placemat that shows a picture of a street scene in Toronto and all of the little services with lines that connect to people. You may have seen it before, because the city used to use it a lot, but because I believe of AODA accessibility requirements, we weren't allowed to use it as an official piece of communication because Google Translate couldn't pick it up. Or it wasn't Google Translate, it was the reading program couldn't pick it up. So now we're making sure that all of the graphics that are produced for the budget, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Rossini can confirm this, for the budget are being done in such a way that it works with a closed captioning software that I believe can also double with Google Translate. So by using some of these albeit they're outside functions, that we should be able to make even the graphics that appear in stuff accessible. In
Never,
different
ever,
languages.
ever use Google Translate. It sucks. And this is the nicest way to put it.
Thank you. Any other
With
questions?
all due respect, this Google
I didn't say that Google sucks on the record.
said
I
Goo-
did not
Google-
say that.
Google Translate.
Let's just be
not-
clear. This is going up on the internet, and I want to make sure that it's clear that I didn't say Google sucks
Google Translate.
anywhere.
Thank you, Councillor. We're very clear that Google doesn't suck, according
Thank
to
you.
you. Okay.
Thank you.
Google Translate, sorry about that.
Yes.
Okay.
Any product by the corporation, the aforementioned corporation.
Okay, thank you. I think we got that on record now, so we're good. Next speaker is Wendy Fanfare from Resident Rising. Or Residents Rising. Welcome for coming tonight. Can you just press the little button in front of you there? Just press the little button in front of you. Perfect, thank you.
Okay. I'm a bit hoarse, so just excuse me, please. My name is Wendy Fanfare. I'm living in the Scarborough area for 15 years. I'm very active in my community. I do lots of outreaching, volunteering in my community for the East Scarborough storefront. I would like to see some money put in for a community center for the young people in my community where they can expand on their talent and where they can get a chance to grow more. And I connect a lot with the young people in my community, and many of them are willing to get involved in doing positive things in the community. On the 19th of February, I'm going to be doing a Black History event at the East Scarborough storefront, and this is my second year of doing it. And most of the young people are willing to get involved in participating in the event. Most of them are going to be singing, drumming, and doing different stuff. So I would like you guys to help to, because first of all, the East Scarborough storefront, they helped me out last year when I did the Black History event. And I had to work with 50 people, I had $200 gift card to buy stuff, because the young people in my community, they like to eat a lot. Most of the people in my community is all about food. If they come to an event that we have and food is not there, they get very upset. So we like to feed our people in our community. So in order for us to do that, sometimes the finance is not there, a great lot for us to do that. So my coordinator, she give me this $200, and with that I had to do the cooking and stuff for the young people, and out of that $200 I had to buy stuff to do the cooking. I do so many things with that $200 gift card. I don't even know how it went around, but it did circulate around just in order for me to feed them. So I'd like to see some money putting into for a community center for the young folks who I have a passion, dealing with them in the community, volunteering a lot with them. I'd like to see some money put in for them at a center, to create a center or something for the young people in the community in Scarborough. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
The last speaker, I believe, on our list is Mark Harris.
Hello, good night. I'm Mark Harris, and over the years I've made a lot of proposals, and This woman not too long ago spoke about storefront, and I would like you as a businessman to connect with somebody from the rent geared to income homes and edify them in the sense that storefront is getting a lot of money and there's no outcome. And they know personally, I don't want to get into that. I come here tonight to deal with my situation. In the past 2 years, I have been given 6 eviction notices. And nobody won't take the initiative to know why. And there's different avenues you can know why. You can go to Home Affairs or the Eviction Court, the Tenancy Act Court, or you could go to Legal Aid, and you can analyze how people are being evicted. Now, Dell Management Solution is the most lousiest management I ever come across. Because when you're managing a building, your main focus is restoring kitchen cabinets, repairing drawers. I'm overwhelmed with repairing kitchen cabinets for people for the last 30 days and installing the cabinet vanity, the mirrors and vanity. And although they have all these complaints against them, they escalate themselves from a company to an incorporation. The first eviction notice I got, for 3 months, I presented my statement. I kept my stub since 2004 because I know the delinquency of the company. In the last 4 years, last month is the fourth person they transfer instead of firing them and look into things. Look at the simple problem with my administration and invoicing and payment. You guys don't get no money for extra work that this company does. They put it in the pocket. And let me tell you a simple reason. For the past year, 25 people came to me, white, black, East Indian, Pakistani, come to me to read things to them. And what happened is apartment 3 didn't pay, apartment 4 pay, and they put apartment 4 pay to apartment 3. You know why this simple reason came from? You have a big computer. Let's think about Excel. You have a big computer. And just think about time and performance management. Would you print off a whole list of names, 400 names, and you have a computer, you can have a database and just click it off? Now, this woman was paying $212, and you know how much was her rent? $139 for 2 years. Now, when you have an invoice, when you do invoices, I did billing. You could ask for task, billing maintenance, and Belmont Properties. You can't write an invoice in a book. You misplace the invoice number. I have evidence to show 3 years ago, there's no collaboration between Ontario Works or Social Services and Disability.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. You'll have to wrap up quickly, please. We're at your 5 minutes.
can you taxpayers help out people who live in a rent-geared income? Because something is going wrong with this company, because you can't have a ATM machine that I know would last for 5, 10 years, changing every 6 months, 18 months, 9 months. Something going on between there, because if you put something on a list, you can deduct and put the thing on the right thing on the computer.
Mr. Harris, thank you very much for your
I just give you examples, and I should have been here because they have a guy who was evicted 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and he had a mental problem, he had a mental issue. He took his sister in, saving the government money, and they kick him out because of misrepresentation of cash.
Mr. Harris, I want to thank you for coming down today. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good night.
Are there any other speakers that may have not had a chance to speak tonight? Great. Thank you, everybody, for coming down. Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like to speak? Oh, okay. Have you spoken to the clerk yet? Okay, if you'd like to come down, we would need your name.
Come on down.
Come on down. Yeah, come on down. There's no prizes, but just us.
Democracy's the big prize.
So if you can just give us your name first before you begin. So are you going to speak together or separately? Okay.
Better services?
I press it.
And your name is, please?
Sorry about it. Thank you for squeezing me in. It's greatly appreciated. I came to just check it out because I live just right across the way, and I'm like, why not talk? So I have a little ditty on my cell phone, so don't mind me here. So my name's Laura Harper. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to squeeze me in tonight. I've had the pleasure of living in Scarborough for the last 10 years. I also have the pleasure of working in Scarborough at a local not-for-profit. And I want to share with you that I'm in full support of the poverty reduction strategy. I'm sure through all the deputation you've heard the important role that things like food security, affordable housing, affordable programs, et cetera, all play an essential role in creating a vibrant community. And I'm here, and I'm also here to share with you that I understand that there needs to be more money to get this very important work done. I think it came up tonight, the famous question of how are we going to pay for it? And I'm here tonight to say, as a paying citizen, I'm okay for council to start looking at revenue generating tools and putting that on the table to pay for this very essential work. I'm a driver and would support the vehicle registration tax. I'm a moviegoer, and sometimes I can squeeze in a Leaf game if I can get a ticket. I'd be okay paying some extra money so that money can go back to essential services, so that I think a question came up earlier about with nutrition programs. Do we continue the same programs, or do we move it to new schools? Let's do all of it. Let's look at revenue generating tools to see how we can pay for that. And I wanted to take this opportunity to share this with you as councillors, because you may not hear this enough from constituents, and I think this is essential to talk about in order to ensure that the City of Toronto continues to remain vibrant. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Oh, sorry, quick.
Sorry, what main intersection do you live at?
Oh, I'm actually right across the way. I'm in the condos across the street.
How do you like the new library?
It's lovely. I got my first library card, and my book was overdue, and I had to pay a late fee already. Embarrassing.
And how do you like the new dog park?
I don't have a dog.
Oh, okay, great.
It is beautiful, though.
Just to let you know, you have a great councillor representing you in this area.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, councillor, for
I'd like to vote on that.
sneaking that non-budgetary comment in.
I think you've just been databased.
Thank you very much. If you can just give us your name and please, you have 5 minutes.
So I've chosen to speak just because I haven't heard anybody speak about affordable housing, and which is something near and dear to my heart.
Just have your name first, quickly.
Sorry, yeah. My name is Sherry Williams. I live in Ward 42. I live in one of the standalone homes that were proposed for sale that Shelley Carroll paid a great part in the parade to save those homes. I'd like to see money from the budget go to Toronto community housing. I'd also like to see clear views or clear goals for the future of Toronto community housing, and not just dance around parade words on a piece of paper. It seems like there's never ever a clear goal end goals aren't being met with Toronto Community Housing when you see them. I'd like to see people living in proper standard homes and not in homes that are below grade. I'd like to see, when it comes to housing, more being built and more being offered, especially with the housing wait list being 170,000, I believe, at the moment, and a backlog repair of 2.8 billion, I believe. I like the municipality to go to, ask the provincial government to allocate monies to Toronto Community Housing for the backlog repair that they downloaded onto the municipality. And I'd also like to see the municipality ask Trudeau or the federal government for some assistance and to come up with a housing strategy. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
By the way, I love Thompson Park. I have a wonderful dog that loves it.
You're very popular tonight, Councillor de Beermaker. Councillor Carroll.
Hi, yeah, just a question, Terry. We do have, it's currently still unfunded in the budget, but we do have kind of the roadmap that it sounds like you're wishing for in the what's called the Mayor's Task Force, the thing that Art Eggleton put together on what we should do if we wanted to start fixing housing and changing TCHC quality quickly. It's still hanging out there in the budget. We've got to decide what we can fit in there. Are you familiar with some of the measures in that report?
Yeah, I am familiar with some of the measures. It's just so you come up with a report and it says, okay, get security guards. So how are they going to do it, right? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Do they hire them or do they contract them? I know personally that they've contracted them out, right? Just from on-hand situations of seeing them, right?
Right.
I just recently had a building structural inspector come to my house to come tell me that my bathroom tub has been leaking.
Yeah.
Right? Well, hello, I called that in like 6 years ago. You know what I mean?
Sharing.
Thank you. Right? Yeah. So that was a waste of money. You know what I mean? The same thing with holding, TCHC is such a broad spectrum that they have so many issues, like contractors. So 5 years ago, I had my foundation done. So your foundation should be now lifetime warranty with the Dymaderm that they put on it, right? Well, no, it's leaking again. The building inspector told me that. Why did I knew that, right? So again, that's probably cost them about, in our world, about 10 grand, right? In their world, I'm sure it's double, right? Because it's a large company. Mm-hmm. So
we have the two problems, the repairs and that we need more built. There's a growing school of thought. Some councils are saying, we got to stop asking them to do the repairs. They're not going to do the repairs. We need to just get started on the repairs. Tax for it, fund it, do it. And then we'd have one simple ask of other governments, building the new, we need you to build the new. We're catching up the repairs aggressively right now using our own tax money. Are we at that point where you'd like to see that happening?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you brought a friend with you to the hall who would be happy to do that. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much for speaking.
Thank you for coming. Are there any other speakers? Yes, please.
Sorry, thank you.
That's okay.
So I, again, was coming, not intending to speak, ran
Just your
from
name,
work.
please, quickly.
Yeah, Effie Vlachoyanakos.
Yeah, we know Effie.
Oh, great. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
Knew who it was.
I live in Ward 40. Have to say, great to see some folks here. Unfortunate to see not all our Scarborough councillors here. Folks are traveling from downtown, which is fantastic, because I think what we have on hand is a bit of a crisis. And I wanted to speak to the idea of how it is not only unfortunate that not all our Scarborough councillors are here, but the turnout in terms of residents who are participating in budget processes. And I've spent a bunch of time with friends and neighbors talking about how to get more involved, because it's our budget, it's our city, it's our services, and it's hard to participate and participate in conversations around what services we need. Heaven forbid we talk about what services we want, but to have an honest conversation about how we're willing to make them happen. And it's these quick turnaround times with inaccessible opportunities to connect is really challenging to have folks participate in these kind of conversations. And I really want to focus on the idea of the revenue conversation. I'm sure you've heard in the morning and other sessions throughout the year, we tell you we don't have enough. We talk about our own experiences of how there are folks like Sherry who have been waiting for 6 years to not just get a repair done, but to hear a response from Toronto Community Housing that a repair needs to get done. We hear about bed bugs. We hear about transit. And I don't have a driver's license, so I'm absolutely reliant on the TTC. I also don't bike, but, TTC focused. And we hear about rising transit fares, and we hear about how we are the city paying, what is it, 80, 79% of the fare box that's paying to maintain the TTC. We're hearing all about this, and yet we can't have that conversation, that open, honest conversation with enough time to say, we need all of this, we want all of this. We've just gone through a very aggressive poverty reduction strategy where the city has taken amazing leadership in working with community and both as residents and as community agencies and stakeholders. And now we're at a point where we can't fund it. And so we've set these expectations where we're thinking, okay, housing's an issue. We've got to get that addressed. Transit is an issue. People aren't eating. What a crisis. Our children are starving and they're in their schools. And yet we're not making it a priority to say, how are we going to talk about how we're going to actualize this? We have, and it's a pet peeve of mine, and I know I will likely not be the popular person, I find it very challenging to know that we were able to rush through a tax increase for a Scarborough subway that, in my opinion, we do not need, when we could have built more transit that more people could access across Scarborough, that could help people travel within Scarborough, and yet we were rushed to have a tax increase, but we can't give that same respect to food, to the fact that kids aren't eating. We can't give that same respect to folks who are in Toronto Community Housing, living in slums, to tenants who are living in private market rentals, apartments, the vertical poverty that the United Way has brought to light and others have brought to light. And we are not making it a priority to have that conversation, an open and realistic conversation with people to say, okay, we've got a problem. So we can either do it this way or that way or this way or that way. And there is a lot of smart economists who have come out and said, this is what I think and this is what I think. And I think that's fantastic. Give us some expert opinion, but then can we, as residents, have a conversation to say, you know what, I'm willing to put 1% if I know it's going to go to transit. I'm willing to pay an entertainment tax. I'm not really a big fan of the alcohol and tobacco. It's a little bit judgmental, but I'm willing to consider saying I'm going to pay more for this because I know it's going to actually repair some homes, increase housing support, deal with homelessness issues. But what I feel like I've heard from others is we have our taxes increased and I can't see what it's getting us because the problems are getting worse. So I would challenge council, starting the day after council decides on this budget, to begin a process with the community, with residents, that says let's have that open and honest conversation about how we actualize what we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Effie. Any questions, Councillor Carroll and Councillor Layton?
So you went there. I didn't start this, but
I did.
You brought it.
You
brought up the Scarborough LRT, and I don't know if it's being covered on the news because we came straight here, but what happened today in City Hall is that we found out we're kind of living in a new universe in terms of what other orders of government want to fund. The Scarborough subway, if we go that way, is far from ready. The studies are still going on and on and on, whereas the alternative, which is almost $1 billion cheaper, was ready to tender. It's good to go. Studied and studied and studied, ready to go. What the Prime Minister said when he met with the mayor today is I need to spend money now. I want to fund things, but I have to fund something you can do now because I need to stimulate this economy and lift this dollar. I need to create 10,000 jobs, and that could do it right now and for less money than we're contemplating. is that a face-saving opportunity and a reason that Scarborough residents would be really willing to look at things in the clear light of day?
I had spent time earlier, and I'm not going to use the ugly title of what the earlier plan was called, because I feel like right now people see it as an ugly title, but the previous transit expansion that was planned and approved.
Also off-road and just happens to have more stops.
Absolutely, and takes us the longer plan, the long-term plan that would take us going through the storefront so that residents and residents rising could actually potentially at some point in our lifetime get faster transit rather than waiting for that 54 bus that may or may not come. And they've campaigned on that. I remember years ago it was, can we just get more bus service? So we're not even getting more bus service because, I shouldn't say because I don't know for sure, but I assume we don't have budget, so how can we pay for more buses? But it's now an emotional discussion we're having. It's not factual. And so when we talk about who deserves a subway and who's getting one, and so I would ask in the future the city think about how you label what new projects you come up with. So you come up with a downtown relief line. It's not actually about a downtown relief line. It's actually about getting the inner suburbs moving. But what we hear is, oh, look, the downtown's getting another subway. And yet Scarborough, we don't deserve that subway. Even though what the previous plan, in my opinion, and I'm not always the fan favorite around this, yes, we deserve a subway, we deserve it where it works. But what I know, I hear and I experience time and time again, it is hard to travel in Scarborough. You are waiting for subways. The LRT that brought me here, it's kind of like the Ghoster Coaster at Canada's Wonderland, where you're wondering if you'll make it through, but fair, right? It shakes, it's the wooden one, like make it, and it's exciting. But you know what? It's across that hydro line, there's no attack on the car, we're not taking, why couldn't we replace that? And then look at expanding or extending the Eglinton line that could go east of Kennedy. Yeah. It could go across Eglinton. It could, heaven forbid, take us to East Scarborough. I live in Agincourt, our transit's pretty good. But once you go east in Scarborough, you are waiting for buses and you're out in the cold, and there is a demand, I believe, that could be met, and that could also look at how Durham connects into Toronto and how we are thinking more as the GTA, but actually thinking east and not just west and north. So it's going to be, I think the conversation again needs to happen. It's a hard one to restart.
Thanks.
Councillor Layton.
I was just going to remark that there are those representatives from Scarborough down in City Hall that would have us believe that no one in Scarborough is against the current proposed plan, rather than reverting back to the what I believe I heard you say, the faster plan, the plan that can be realized quicker, and I just wanted to remark on that. And with that, that'll be my question.
I can find you 10. So if you need to fill 2 hands, we can at least do that.
Thank you very much, Effie.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for coming down. I want to thank the councillors. I also, I just want to thank staff. And you may not have noticed it, people in the audience, but our CFO, Rob Rossini, is actually here too, listening. So even though he's not asking questions, he's the one who pulls a lot of the figures together. Yeah, so he doesn't make the decisions, but he definitely pulls the money around and brings it to us in a wonderful way. So he's also been here listening, so I want to thank him.
He's been here 4 times.
I know. And I need a motion that the Budget Subcommittee for City Hall, Scarborough Civic Centre, and East York Civic Centre consultation receive for information the public presentations. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming. So we are in East York Civic Centre tomorrow afternoon, folks.